It was a cold, dark night, and I was walking along on an empty street. The only source of light came from the dimly lit lampposts. I shivered as the chilling breeze blew through my thin jacket. As I was walking, I noticed a strange figure in the distance. It was a clown standing under a flickering streetlight. He wore a vibrant, polka-dotted suit, oversized shoes, and a painted smile that seemed frozen and unnatural. My heart sank as I realized he was staring straight at me. Feeling extremely uncomfortable, I tried to quicken my pace, but to my horror, the clown began to follow, his feet making an ominous squeak with each step. I desperately looked for a way to escape, but the streets were empty, and there was nowhere to hide. The clown closed the gap between us. I could hear his labored breaths, heavy and unnerving. His sinister laugh echoed through the silent night, sending chills down my spine. It was as if his laughter was laced with pure evil. My mind raced with thoughts of what this deranged clown might do to me. I felt a cold sweat trickling down my forehead as I prayed for a miracle. But the clown was relentless, his laughter growing louder, more menacing, with each passing sound. With no other choice, I darted into a narrow alleyway, hoping to lose him in the darkness. But the clown was swift, followed me without hesitation. His presence felt suffocating, like a nightmare that refused to end. I stumbled over debris, desperately searching for an escape route. As I turned the corner, my heart sank. The alleyway was a dead end. There was no way out. I felt trapped, cornered by this monstrous clown. He advanced slowly, his footsteps echoing like the toll of a death knell. A glimmer of hope sparked when I noticed a rusty fire escape ladder. I leaped onto it, climbing with all my might. Each rung felt like a lifeline, carrying me away from the clutches of this nightmare. But as I was climbing, I glanced back and saw the clown climbing as well, his painted grin widening with every step. Terror coursed through my veins as I reached the rooftop, gasping for air. I looked around, desperately seeking for help. But the city below me was quiet, as if the entire world had fallen into darkness. With nowhere left to run, I had no choice but to confront the clown, to face my fear head on. I turned to face him, my heart pounding, the clown's eyes bored into mine, devoid of humanity, only filled with malice.
"You cannot escape me,"
he hissed, his voice a chilling whisper that echoed through the night. Summoning every ounce of courage within me, I shouted, "What do you want from me?" The clown's painted smile widened.
"Your sanity,"
his voice dripping with a wicked delight. In that moment, I realized I was dealing with something far beyond comprehension. This clown was no ordinary entity. He was a personification of fear itself, a malevolent force preying upon the innocence of others. As I braced myself for the final encounter, a glimmer of determination lit a fire within me. I refused to let this clown destroy me. I would not become another victim of his sadistic games. I lunged at the clown, grappling with him on the rooftop. We tumbled and fought, each movement fueled by fear and survival. The sound of our struggle filled the night, a symphony of chaos and desperation. In the end, it was a combination of luck and sheer willpower that allowed me to gain the upper hand. I managed to overpower the clown, forcing him to the ground. As I held him down, I ripped off his mask, revealing the face of a disturbed man, consumed by madness. Breathing heavily, I watched as the clown's eyes dulled, his malevolent spirit dissipating into the night. Relief washed over me as I realized the nightmare was finally over. But as I made my way down from the rooftop, I couldn't shake off the lingering feeling that evil could manifest itself in many forms. I knew that somewhere in the dark corners of the world, another person wore a clown costume, ready to unleash terror upon unsuspecting souls. My scary encounter with the clown came to an end. I will never forget that night, as his laugh still echoes in my mind to this day. It was a calm evening, and I was relaxing in my backyard, enjoying the peaceful night. I sat there enjoying my beer, hearing the crickets starting to chirp. It was quite nice. I needed this after a long, stressful workday. But then, a strange feeling washed over me. I couldn't explain it, but I felt like someone was nearby. Paranoid, I turned my head to look around. And that's when I saw it. A man standing near the edge of my yard, dressed in a clown costume. The clown's outfit was vivid and exaggerated, with colorful patterns and a large, grotesque mask covering his face. The clown was looking at me. His eyes were fixed on me. I was paralyzed. I couldn't move. I couldn't tear my gaze away from the chilling sight before me. It stood there, motionless, its gaze unrelenting. What did it want? Why was it here, invading my peaceful night? Unable to withstand the silence any longer, I called out with my voice trembling. "Who are you? And why are you standing there, staring at me?" The clown remained silent, just stood there, looking at me. Its silence only intensified my fear, and a sense of dread settled deep within my bones. The stillness of the night seemed to amplify the tension in the air. Summoning the courage, I rose from my seat and took a step forward. "Leave now," I demanded, with my voice quivering. "This is private property. You have no right to be here." The clown's laughter shattered the stillness, echoing the night. It was a sinister sound. It sounded evil and menacing. I could feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. Instead of leaving, the clown took a step closer, closing the distance between us. I stumbled backwards, desperate to put more space between us. The air grew heavy with an unsettling energy. I turned and sprinted towards the safety of my house. I slid the slide door open and managed to get inside, slamming the door shut behind me, hoping it would keep the clown at bay. But as I glanced out the window, my heart sank. The clown stood in the middle of my backyard, still staring at me through the glass. The mask's sinister grin mocking me. I reached for my phone and dialed the police. My voice trembled as I explained the situation to the operator. The sound of their reassuring voice on the other end offered a silver of comfort. I waited there for what felt like an eternity. Every creak, every sound made me jump, fearing that the clown had found a way into my home. Finally, the sound of police sirens pierced the night, growing louder with each passing moment. I was relieved when I watched the police cars pull outside my house, but as the police entered my backyard, their flashlights shining around, the clown vanished, leaving no trace of its presence. The officers searched around my backyard and the surrounding area, but their efforts yielded no results. The police told me that they would be on the lookout, but to be honest, that really didn't make me less afraid. I was scared that the clown would return, fearing that he would probably do something worse next time. I locked my doors and windows every night. I couldn't risk that clown getting inside my house. That experience terrified me, and I no longer enjoyed sitting outside. The thought of him just standing there just creeped me out. I avoid looking out the slide door window, because I feel like sometimes he might be standing there, just staring at me. It was a cool autumn evening, and the leaves were falling gently from the tree. I had just finished my shift at a local supermarket and was heading home. I usually take a shortcut through the woods to get home faster, but this time, as I was walking through the woods, I saw a worn-out circus tent. Curiosity got the best of me, and I couldn't resist taking a peek inside. As I entered the tent, the air felt heavy, and a faint smell of dampness hung in the air. The main hall was dimly lit, and I could hear a faint, creepy melody playing in the distance. I cautiously made my way deeper into the tent. That's when I saw it. A rack of vibrant clown costumes. They were so colorful and whimsical that I couldn't resist trying one on. I found a simple, red-nosed clown costume and put it on. It fit perfectly, and I couldn't help but smile at the reflection in the cracked mirror nearby. Feeling playful, I decided to explore the rest of the tent. The corridors were a maze as I walked through the winding passages, my clown shoes echoing softly with each step. The laughter of children, distant and muffled, filled the air, but something about it made me feel uneasy. Suddenly, I heard a rustling sound coming from behind me. I turned around expecting to see another curious visitor. Instead, I found myself face to face with a figure dressed in a tattered clown costume. The person's face was hidden beneath heavy makeup, and their eyes stared at me intensely. I felt a cold sweat forming on my brow. "Who are you?" I stammered, my voice quivering with fear. The figure didn't respond. Instead, it raised a gloved hand and pointed down a dark corridor. I hesitated for a moment, but something compelled me to follow. The corridor seemed to stretch on forever, with no end in sight. The air grew colder, and a feeling of dread washed over me. As I continued, I caught glimpses of other figures in clown costumes, moving around in the dark. They moved silently, their expressions twisted and sinister. Fear gripped my heart as I realized I had stumbled upon something much darker than I could ever imagined. The corridor eventually led me to a small room, where I found myself surrounded by mirrors. Their reflections showed not my own, but rather a distorted version of myself, a clown with a wide, malicious grin. I tried to look away, but the mirrors seemed to trap me in their gaze. Suddenly, the room began to spin. The mirrors distorted, morphing into grotesque shape. Laughter echoed from all directions, growing louder and more manic with each passing second. I covered my ears, desperately trying to block out the sound, but it penetrated my very soul. Just when I couldn't take it any longer, the laughter abruptly stopped. The room fell silent, and the spinning came to a halt. I cautiously removed my hands from my ears, and I looked around. I saw a figure standing in the center of the room, a figure in a clown costume. My heart pounded in my chest as the figure slowly turned towards me. Its face was painted with a twisted grin, and its eyes burned with a malevolent light. It reached out towards me, and before I could react, its cold, gloved hand gripped my shoulder. A wave of terror washed over me, and I tried to break it free, but the grip was ironclad. The figure leaned in closer, its breath cold against my ear.
You should have never come here.
The room erupted into chaos. The mirrors shattered, their broken fragments reflecting a nightmare world. Shadows darted around me, their laughter echoing. I closed my eyes, praying for it all to end. That's when I woke up screaming. I sat up in bed, absolutely drenched with sweat. Thank goodness, it was just a nightmare. It wasn't real, I thought to myself. But why did it feel so real? It was the most awful nightmare I've ever had. The dream haunted me, and that's where I got my fear of clowns. To this day, I can't pass a circus or see a clown without feeling a shiver crawl up my spine. I'm grateful that it was just a nightmare, but it felt so real, and if I were to ever experience that in person, I would definitely lose my sanity.